What's up, Soul Family? Welcome to this Saturday Night Soul Session live with me, LC. And I got some amazing guests sitting in the green room just ready to come out and throw some fire on this Saturday night. Recovery Soul Food is so honored to welcome Mike Fiore and Andrea Thomas of Voices for Awareness. You know, we're going to talk about some things tonight that could make some people uncomfortable but will for sure enhance your entire spirit. We're going to talk about turning the light on in the darkness. We're not going to talk about fighting the darkness. We're going to turn on the light. And we're going to do that by talking about, fentanyl awareness. What's really going on? We're going to talk about what's really needed to protect our children and just how important it is for all of us, not just the recovery community or families of those in recovery, but for every human being on the face of the earth right now to really understand what this is, what the bigger picture is. Because, on the back end of this fentanyl awareness, we're talking about the Great Awakening. God only sends us angels. And that's something that we have been conditioned not to see. We judge everything as good and bad, and we resist so much. But in every opposition, in every tragedy, there is a seed for triumph. There is a seed for opportunity. I'm so grateful that Andrea Thomas is coming here and has created Voices for Awareness to speak, to stand on the wings of her own daughter, who she lost to fentanyl poisoning. And of course, we all know Mike Fiore. He is also out here in the world using his tragedies as triumphs. So I'm so grateful that these two human beings have come together and that they are sitting here tonight with me, LC, and all of you amazing people. So right now, let me do a few things. I want to talk to you about a book that I love so much. It's my friend Pamela Topjian's book, I Didn't Come This Far to Only Come This Far. You can pick that up on Amazon.com. It's best if you just type in Pamela Topjian, and I'm reading that right now. We know Remy Stowack's Arsenal of Gratitude. If you are in new recovery, or if you're new to like a spiritual or just an awakening process, you want to make your life better, gratitude does that. It changes your perception. We're going to talk a little bit about gratitude tonight, because there's not a show of mine that we don't talk about gratitude. So you can pick up Remy Stowack's book, An Arsenal of Gratitude. It's amazing for creating a new gratitude practice. And one last book that I am currently reading, I've read both of those, but working in partnership with God. Lou Myers, he is one of the top 5 financial advisors on earth, and he has written this amazing book that tells about his story and starts talking to us about just how to create a life you love. Now, let me tell you something, recovery community. There are many aspects to recovery, and one of them is your finances. And wealth is born in the thinking. So pick that up, Amazon, Lou Myers, and I am, again, so super honored to be here tonight with these two human beings. I am so ready to get into this. So if y'all are ready for this amazing Saturday Night Soul Session live with me, LC, Mike Fiore, and Andrea Thomas, then let's go. It's the beautiful people in the house. Welcome, Mike. Welcome, Andrea. Thanks for y'all for so much for being here with me on
Thank
this special
you for
Saturday
having
night.
us.
Wow. So, it's so hard. We probably had a whole podcast episode before we ever hit the live button here tonight, which always seems to happen. But, Andrea, I would really love for you to maybe start this thing out by kind of explaining how you come to be here, if you're comfortable doing that, and just letting
Sure.
us know who you are and what this is all about.
Well, in 2018, I lost my daughter, Ashley. She was
Wow.
32 years old. Ashley was given a half of an M30.
Mm,
Looks like a real prescription pill, and it's not. It's made with
mm,
fentanyl. And that little piece of a pill took her life almost instantly. And, that morning when I found out what happened to Ashley was the first time I ever heard about fentanyl.
wow.
And I couldn't imagine that, a half a pill or one pill could take anyone's life. Um, I didn't even think it was true when I got that phone call. I thought it sounded so ridiculous to me that Ashley
Wow.
took a pill and that it killed her. And shortly after Ashley's service, the day of Ashley's service, my girlfriends pulled me together and they said, "Look at this PSA." And it was from my local police department, and it had that picture that many of us are familiar with now of the two little blue pills. And I knew at that point that Ashley wasn't the only one, right? There were more for them to put
Mm,
that out. So, that next morning when really I just wanted to stay in the bed forever and not deal with any of this, it was clear to me that we had to start screaming from the rooftops about these pills. And I went to a local park that day because my daughter had been feeding homeless people, and I did not even know. And they were going to have a celebration of her life there at this park on that day while they fed the homeless. And I remember my little 7-year-old grandson was with me, Ashley's son, and I thought I've got to tell everybody here about these pills. And they didn't know.
wow.
No one there knew. And so that's how it started. And for affected families, it starts with your child. And then you learn about the thousands and thousands and thousands of others. And how can you ever stop, right? You've got to keep telling people. And now, after 4 years, we've passed this mark of um, shutting this down quickly. We've let
Mm.
so much into the country, and so many people have died. We need to keep talking about this everywhere and anywhere that we can, and that's really how it started for me
Gosh,
with Ashley.
can I just number one say, wow, what a tragedy, and and it not even be, like 4 years is that's that's not very long, but how inspiring though that you like that's the love of for your daughter that immediately, you know,
Definitely. If my
immediately.
daughter was here today, Elsie, she would be telling everyone.
I
She
bet.
wouldn't want this to happen to anyone. And I, you know, on the other side of it, Ashley's death has taught me so much. They say when you've lost a child that you're a different version of yourself. And
Mm,
that certainly is true. I was probably much more timid and didn't talk about any big issues. I certainly wouldn't be talking to senators and law enforcement and all of these people had I not lost my child. But she's really shown me a compassion and an empathy and a different way of thinking. Because anyone that dies from in this way, whether they were unexpected or they were a first time user or addicted, there's a stigma that's attached to that, and there should
amen.
not be. And that's why
Amen.
people aren't listening. They think this can't happen to them, right? And it's
Amen.
happening to everyone.
Amen.
There are no boundaries to who
Yeah.
fentanyl.
Yeah, there's no discrimination. I mean, like this is and you said something that's very um very real in that, you know, tragedy often has two things mixed with it. You know, there is also gifts in there, and it's hard to talk about the gifts within tragedy because we are talking about something that's so sad, but what you're doing is a gift to many families. And I feel like, you know, your daughter's wings, you know, are what is truly like helping and keeping you going. And you know, I mean, just to think about, you know, to meet you, you know, I can only imagine that she has tremendous wings that are helping you get this message so far, because it is important. You know, we've been, you know, people like myself and Mike and Brett and JR and so many people here, we've been out in the world trying to talk about this, you know, stigma issue for a good while now. And it makes even more of a greater impact for affected families to come in and unfortunately have to learn about this stigma in this way, but to then be able to turn around and share that. You know, I remember the first time I heard a mom speak about losing her son at the very beginning when we decided we had an opioid epidemic. You know, to me, I'd been in an epidemic, you know, for years. You know, like this was not new to me. But I remember her saying, nobody brings casseroles when your child dies of an overdose. You know, like nobody comes to the house. Nobody, you know, brings stuff like that. And do you think that stigma has been lowered from a family perspective? You know, do you think we've done some stuff with that stigma, or
We've got a long way to go.
yeah.
We were talking before the show about social media. And I remember the first interview that I did for the newspaper after Ashley died, talking about fentanyl. The first comment that went online was, "Another addict dead.
Ugh.
This is good. Great. We got rid of another one." And I couldn't even get angry because I thought, you know, I knew that wasn't the truth about my daughter with this pill. But and Ashley did suffer from alcoholism. I mean, she was not a drug user. Her deal was alcohol, and that's why she was given the pill. She had pancreatitis, and it was extremely painful, and she
Hmm.
didn't have anything. And I just kept thinking, what if my grandson were to see this comment somewhere? And that that's what comes to top of mind for many people. And I don't remember exactly what my train of thought was before I lost my daughter this way. But certainly, I was never ashamed of my daughter, even with the alcoholism. I know who my daughter was, and she was a wonderful person. And so, but the alcohol got to her, and her life changed, and our lives changed also. But,
Hmm.
you know, that wasn't my daughter, right? Um, and I have so many friends now in the affected families community that this was a first time experiment for their child,
Wow.
and they were gone so fast. And so that we're talking now about those that are unsuspecting, experimenting, and addicted. And it does not matter one bit which way that it took you out or who you were that it took out. It's all the same. It's a poisoning of America, and it is the drug that is the most prevalent today. And that's why
Yeah.
we're talking about it. The drug deaths before, equally important. You know, we work with
Absolutely.
the IOD community a lot of the times, and they're using our terminology too, and wondering why we're coming out so strong and why this didn't happen with heroin or methamphetamine. Well, this is a drug like no other, right? There's no time for recovery in
Yeah.
many situations, one and done.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are, the fentanyl affected families. But you know, all of it is the same when you're all of these losses are important. Every single one of these people are important. And so I'm glad to, when you said God brings angels into your life, that's what Mike is to me, because he's given us the ability to spread the same message with a different community. We're all just, you know, we should all be saying this no matter where we
Yes.
come from, which
Yes.
side.
Yes, that was going to be my next question of a great lead in because, I did want to know a bit for those who maybe haven't seen, you guys, your story yet. So Mike, how do you and Andrea come to be, together in this turning on of the light, so to speak?
I mean, I'm gonna answer it's just God given, right? Because you mentioned opiate, right? The opiate epidemic. This is not an epidemic. This is not a pandemic. It's a plague. We're being exterminated. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not a drug. It is a poison. It is
Yep.
not an overdose. Overdose is the definition, right? The excessive use of drugs. You hear the word overdose, you automatically think it's an addict's problem, so you don't
Yeah.
think you're going to have to deal with it. Fentanyl, you're not exempt. You know what I'm saying? Anyone can get it. Recreational users, first timers, you know what I'm saying? Like addicts, like we're all dying from it. So let's change the verbiage a little bit. Let's take off the overdosing because anyone can have it. It's a poison, right? Because just a little bit of it's going to kill you. I've done enough drugs in a day that I should be dead 10 times over, but I'm still here because it didn't have fentanyl in it. With
Right.
fentanyl in it, I would have been dead, right? So
Yeah.
let's call it what it is. We're being poisoned, we're being exterminated, right? So, like, we're at war right now. This is a national security risk. One of the statistics I like to give is every 2 weeks, the same, probably more now, though, every 2 weeks, the same amount of people that died in 9/11 die in this country from fentanyl, right? So what happens when 9/11 got bombed? We started war and we raised hell on whoever bombed us, right? So it is a national security risk. We are at war. And when we went to war, our military used every facet that we have, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, the Army. This is how we need to fight this war with the families affected, the
Yeah.
addicts in recovery. The addicts using got more power than anyone because if you don't pick up the drug, sell the drug, and steal for the drug, yous are putting more dents in this war than any of us can. So we
Yeah.
need you to fight it. Then you have politicians that are fighting in a certain way. Everyone needs to fight this war a certain way. Andrea and I are just bringing something together that should have been done a long time ago because I can't imagine this side of addiction from my family's point of view because I was the addict in the family. So
Yeah.
I'm able to now see it from Andrea's side, and I'm able to get a new perspective on this and allow me to have a little more compassion and empathy and give me more stuff to be able, as far as my arsenal goes, using the gift that God gave me, and that's the ability to just say things a certain way. But her grandson's uncle found me on TikTok. He's like, listen, you gotta link up with my aunt, and it took a little bit of a while because I was still in treatment, I think, when him and I first. And then it's like it's on God's time. This is the great awakening, right? My light is found in the darkness, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, the darkness isn't even the darkness. Perspective equals your potential. How you
Yeah.
see anything is how you see it. I don't see darkness right now.
Right.
All I see is light, and all I see are
Yes.
different paths to get to that light. And this is just one of the paths that Andrea and I are taking, and that's going up and being one voice, becoming the population. They will have to hear us one way or another, and if they don't, we're going to do it without them because we are the population.
Absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. And we were talking before we hit that live button about, there's so much loudness and so much garbage going around that's really trying to pull our attention towards things that just really in the scheme of things are not the issues they're being made to be. We're being inundated with gender identities with children. We got to protect our children in the bathroom, and we got to do this. And what we're really talking about right now is what's really after our kids, because this fentanyl that I'm seeing right now is being marketed as candy. It looks like candy. Now that's not for grown-ups. We don't go looking for, or for addicts. Let's just call it what it is. We don't go looking for candy. We know what we're looking for. But this is for something else. And sometimes, I think that with everything in the world right now becoming almost ridiculous, like we're almost, the lies are just being exposed, to a point where if you don't wake up at this point, you just don't want to. So, but I would like for us to really talk about this because I put out this clip. I when I first became aware of this, that this was actually happening. I've been hearing about fentanyl. I'm in the recovery community, so you hear about little bits of fentanyl. But when I saw what they're calling sweet tarts and all of this, it hit my heart so heavy that, are you serious? Like, when you're standing over a fentanyl poisoned child, does it matter what gender identity they were, what bathroom they used, or how they found their own identity and happiness? It don't matter. And so what's really going on is that our children need to be protected from what's truly trying to take them out of this world before they even have a chance. So talk to us a little bit, if you want, about this new marketing strategy. Like, why? What are your takes on this?
Well, this fentanyl starts coming in these M30s, looking like a real prescription medication. So, your kids need to know never to take anything that's not prescribed to them or given to them by their parents. You
Mm,
can't trust anything out there. Then it moves into all of the other drugs. And so, and again, those drugs didn't used to kill people first time use.
right.
So now we're working with all these people that we used to just take like a DARE program into school once a year, right? You get the
Yeah.
pencil, you get the paper, and you're covered for the year, or so
Yeah.
we thought.
Yeah. The T-shirt.
The,
Yep.
the entire drug landscape has changed, and we need to
Yes.
change with it. And
Mm,
so we need to open our minds to have these conversations. Parents that think that their kids don't know anything about illicit drugs, in most cases, are blinded. They think that
yeah.
maybe this can't happen to them because their son or daughter is not in a dark alley or somewhere that we perceive our children to attain drugs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they just have to pick up their phones now, and
Yes.
the distributor is right there. The access is so easy, and their menus of drugs. It's not like you have to think, well, let me think, who do I think is using drugs and where can I get something? It's
Right.
everywhere. Just type it in, delivered to your house. And when we talk about schools and getting the information into school, we just have to do this different and quit being so closed-minded. Make sure that not only are we warning the kids, we're not trying to scare the life out of them, right? We want them to understand and know
Yes.
the lethality of this, because
Yes.
kids used to experiment and they didn't die.
Right.
Now, one time experimenting and it's over for you.
Absolutely. And this was
And
one of the things we were talking about. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this was one of the things that we were talking about, is how, in some ways, talking about this, there has been those that almost accuse, of creating some type of pandemic, or creating some type of chaos or undue fear. But in my humble opinion and experience, if that's creating that fear within you, there's already a fear within you, like a spirit of fear within you. I see what you two are doing right here coming from a spirit of love, which is that, what do we know, that fear is faith running wild, and love is faith focused. And so I think that you said something so important about helping them understand. We're not taking a Just Say No to Drugs program in, or a DARE program saying don't do drugs. This is so much more dangerous, and I can only imagine that your tactics, are changing with these kids and these times, because I didn't realize how advanced. I mean, I think I remember a few years ago when I saw people dealing drugs on social media. I thought, are they crazy? Like, this goes against the whole code. Like, we don't do this. You don't. What are you doing, man? You're just telling them where you are. But this is the world we live in now. This ain't my world anymore. It ain't even yours anymore, Mike. You're much younger than me, but this is a different.
Right, a couple years, not
Just
much.
come on, come on.
So my perspective on this whole rainbow pill thing, right? They say, well, why would they want to target children? Like, drug dealers want to make money. Why would they want to kill their? Listen, the children are our future, right? Medieval times, right? Didn't kings request payment of children from other countries so they could build their army? It's kind of like
Talk
the same
about it.
thing. They're taking our army away from us. Our children are our future. And then bring social media into it, right? The algorithm, right? The 5-second and the 7-second videos. They're limiting our attention span. Everyone's watching 5 and second videos and on to the next, on to the next. Our brain registers these things more than we might understand. So then when we go out into the real world, guess what happens? Our attention span is like a goldfish. It's just jumping from thing to thing to thing. So I get the argument that maybe the government is creating some kind of. I get it. I can't go with it though. I just don't agree with it, because if I was another country waging war on us, just say, I would go after the children. I would go after, because that's the future, right? So and then with the school programs, right? It's different now. When I was a kid in school, whoever came and spoke about drugs, I wasn't hearing you because I was a kid. I was invincible. The difference now is you have kids in junior high school and high school that have had friends die of fentanyl poisoning. That's the difference. I didn't have any friends in school that overdosed on heroin and cocaine when I was 12, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 25. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have friends that were dying like that. And I was in the circuit of all circuits when it came to drugs at one point. So that's the difference. Like, that's why this awareness, like, not talking to your kids about sex ain't going to prevent them from not having sex. But they might have sex and not have protected sex and then get something they shouldn't get. So tell your kids now, I don't care what grade they're in, tell your kids now about fentanyl and the awareness and the prevention and what could happen. Because any pill you pick up off the street is pressed. And, you know, the word laced is used. I kind of refrain from that word because the definition of lace is that it's the minority of. Fentanyl is not the minority of the drugs that are out anymore. It's fentanyl made with cocaine now. It's fentanyl made with heroin now. Let's start speaking what it really is, because if you say lace, you might think you might get the one pill that's not fentanyl, or you might get, I don't ever really remember people dying from sniffing a bag of dope. Chewing heroin, okay, I can see you overdosing. Sniffing a bag of cocaine and dying, like, it's not cocaine. Heroin's going to be obsolete. You're not going to get heroin on it. And fentanyl, Andrea said, this is just the beginning, man. Like, and that's the scary shit.
Next?
Yeah.
They already have one out. They already got another drug out. I forget the name of it, Andrea. You had said it's in Philadelphia right now. Heavy.
Yeah. So, and fentanyl is, there's worse drugs coming. They're already here. And, but this is made to be deceptive looking and still highly addictive, right?
Yes.
And so when Mike's talking about a national security issue, and we're losing an entire generation.
Yes.
And, you know, not to mention, there's even seniors out there that go to the street for you know, we've had a lot of changes with opioids and medication over the last several years. And so we have seniors going to the street too, and they have no clue, are purchasing pills even online, because 98% of our pharmacies, 90% of the pharmacies, online pharmacies, are fake. They're not real. They're not legal. So we've got to just understand, spread the message, and it's what's in our control, right? It's what's in the public's control, prevention and awareness. At a federal level, we need help bad. And we pushed with COVID. We're still doing it in a lot of states. Why aren't we on TV every day right now, warning our youth, our most vulnerable, precious population?
Absolutely.
Andrea said it before COVID. We knew within a week how to wash our hands, cover our face, where to go, what not, within a week. COVID shut the whole world down. Fentanyl is killing the whole world right now. So just like COVID, you either knew someone that had COVID, or someone that had COVID and died, or someone knew someone. What do you think this fentanyl is? You either know someone that died from fentanyl, or you have someone that knows someone that died from fentanyl, or you have someone that was actually brought back from a fentanyl poison. You know what I'm saying? Like, one way or another, you're not running from this. You could go to a town of 20 people and the fentanyl is going to find you. You could go to a city of 20 million people and fentanyl is there waiting for you. So let's start bringing the awareness. Just become one voice. Like, we're responsible for the effort. We're not responsible for the outcomes of things. We need to put more effort into it, though, because we can put more effort into it.
Yeah, for every, we have to not only match the response because darkness is coming,
Mhm.
and they're up in their game. So it's not that we give up or just match, their effort. We got to go beyond that because we have to continue because you're right, drugs are changing. You know, I started hearing about, I almost couldn't even believe when I first started hearing about fentanyl and cocaine or fentanyl and meth. And I'm thinking, what is the point of this? Like, who's buying this crap? Like, what, that don't even make sense. But, there, a lot of people aren't getting a second choice. A lot of people aren't getting the choice to go, oh, I think I bought fentanyl cocaine because they're not here anymore.
Yep.
And, we started talking about, and I think something that's very deceptive is I was doing some research in, and they've got these different numbers mixed with states, and my state of North Carolina actually says that it's not here. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, and we know it's bullshit
Yeah.
because if you've been on the street, I mean, we're even talking about 9 years ago when I got into recovery and came off of heroin. Fentanyl was going into the heroin then. It had its own name. It was gray dope and ghost dope and all of that. It was starting then. So how in the world can you put out these ridiculous numbers to give someone a false sense of security to think that those are big city problems? We are Bible Belt. We're doing good here. That lying to people, you're losing people through the lie.
Well, 4 years ago when Ashley died, I live in a rural area in Colorado. And Ashley was one of 10 people killed by the same distributor. There was one distributor of fentanyl in my town in
Wow.
2017, 2018. Now, good luck catching anybody because there's so many.
Mm.
Um, but back then, one of 10, that's incredible to me that 10 people died. We never heard about it.
Yeah.
No one was talking about it. This didn't alarm anyone or alert anyone.
Right.
And fentanyl testing in my area had just begun, so they
Mm.
wouldn't have known anyway. And I can tell you when you look at these numbers, there's testing that's not going on in many places. The numbers are, I don't believe, to be correct. And in this time sitting here, I measure time now by thinking of how many people we're losing. That's why it seems to be so urgent to me all the time, and I feel like I can't stop. We've been in here for 35 minutes, and um, 6 people gone in my head is how I'm seeing time
Wow.
every 5 minutes,
Wow.
if not more.
Wow.
We've got to push at the top. We have to push our um, government to start talking about this. We are losing the most precious people, and
Yes.
they can help us. We need their help.
You know,
That's,
that was one of the questions that I actually had here, and I'll ask this question to each of you. What would both of you like to see happen from like a top level down, government organizations, how can what's our best scenario from your perspective? And both of you answer that.
well, drugs
Anyway,
have always come into the United States from other
always.
places.
Yes.
So, um, but right now, we have to concentrate on the amounts. We know that about 5% was being interdicted maybe 6 months ago. What is it now? So when you see these seizures that this truckload of fentanyl or these 4 kilos or whatever could take out X amount of people, that's just one seizure. What's
Mm,
getting passed?
yeah.
And where is all of that? That's my other
Yeah.
question. It's indicative of stockpiling, really.
Yeah.
And so, you could hire 1,000 more agents or do whatever you want, but we've got to address this as the state of the national security threat that it is. It's being brought
Yes.
in by China, sold to us by the Mexican cartels, and now we see other countries bringing it into.
Yes.
That needs to be addressed. And
Yes.
when you talk about, war on drugs didn't work and all of these things, well, it's exactly what Mike said. It's not working, and we've got to uh, figure out how we can hold them accountable for taking out so many Americans. And
Absolutely.
that would be number one, address the national security threat. and the public health crisis, because now this has made even more people addicted, people that thought they were using another drug and and fentanyl was in it, and they can't stop. The
Yeah.
recovery rate is really small there. So we've got to address the public health crisis, and we've got to get warnings out to the American public, like ASAP. If I could pick one thing right now, go on television and tell everybody, like you warned us during COVID, and
Yes.
get the word out there. Make it
Yes.
mandatory at this point to be in schools. Don't wait till it's too late. Look at the kids we've lost in the high schools in the just last month.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
happened next week and the week after, and continue on until we get the word out.
Gosh. Amazing. Amazing.
So, I mean, I'll shoot for the stars real quick. Shut down the fucking border. Just shut it down. And 30 days, and let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying? But like, you asked, so that was the first thing that popped up.
Hey.
But,
It's an open show. You said I wanted the truth. I want the truth.
I was on Dr. Phil. So the guy Derek, right? He took one of them sugar packets, the sweet and low packets. He ripped it open. He put it in his hand. He showed the audience. He said, "This is enough fentanyl to kill 500 people. One sugar packet, right? There's enough fentanyl coming into the country on a monthly basis to wipe out the whole population." So let me go, because what I know is recovery. I work in treatment. Our treatment facilities need to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get us off the drugs. They don't teach us how to stay off the drugs, and then they push us right out back into where we want. So let's start creating treatment facilities that help us build our credit, right?
Yes.
Our job training, resume building. You know what I'm saying? With housing after the fact. Right, you're just coming in and you're collecting insurance money. You got these body broken companies, these private insurance companies, sending people from one state to another state just to collect the money. Like it's a whole insurance scam. You know what I'm saying? Make a whole task force to start dealing with that. Because if your child happens, and I hate to use this, for the lack of a better word, not be the one and done, they're gonna be addicted, right?
Yeah.
So now, how do we tackle that? You know what I'm saying? How do we tackle the addiction? Because a lot of us don't go to treatment, LC, because it's bullshit at the end of it. You have to change the curriculum. You know what I'm saying? You need people like us in there. I'm not saying third people need to be there. I'm not saying that. Like, I work in treatment. The ones that put most of their heart in there are the ones that used to be addicted that are in recovery. The ones that are just for a paycheck. As a client myself, I don't even want to hear your bullshit. Even if you have something that can help me, don't say you know how I feel, because you don't know how I feel. Read it in a book. You know what I'm saying? You understand how I feel. You don't know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between the two. So my thing is, we got to hit, and then the schools. We got to get into the schools, and you have to let people like us speak in them schools. Not a suit, not a slideshow all the time. You know what I'm saying? Don't show us Snoopy and Donald Duck walking and picking up. No, that's not going to work. Like, you got to give these kids the reality of what's really going on out here.
Yes.
What's really going on out here is you're going to die. And because of television, because of the brainwashing of television, the death has been so diluted that we don't even appreciate what death really matters. You know what I'm saying? That means you're going to die one day. So you should be living your best life today. You will never get October 8, 2022 again. You know what I'm saying? But we don't realize, because we keep waking up every day, that we think tomorrow's guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, especially when it comes to this fentanyl. You got 6 bullets in the chamber, and you think you're playing Russian roulette. No, you're just playing suicide at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when Ashley first died, and thinking that every time I told her story, that I was just the poor lady that had lost a child, a human interest story, right? Well, now people in these, the affected families, I know they've lost 1, 2, 3 children, or 2 of their children, and a brother and a sister. I mean, this is so horrible. And I got to a point where I just wanted to talk about fentanyl, because I thought that's what they're looking at. They're just looking at my daughter being gone, and they close the newspaper, turn off the TV, and they don't think about it anymore. Poor lady. And that's not what it is. There are hundreds of thousands of families out there, and it's happening every day, every 5 minutes, all day long.
Absolutely.
And so this is worse. When you talk about all these issues clouding our minds and us getting filled up with all this negative information.
Say it. And energy. You said the word energy. You said it.
Why aren't we looking at this at the top? of our
Yeah.
problems when we're talking about our youth.
Yeah, because when we're talking about like we're real and we're in it right now, so let's get in it. So we're talking about issues right now that really don't matter. We're still in the pick a side culture, and we are being destroyed. You know, when we talk about America, America's been the number one superpower or whatever for so long. How many people, how many other places want to take a shot at us? And I think that there are specific ones that have been playing the long game with us for a long time. We'll just watch them implode. Now, I believe this when we saw the whole opioid epidemic and crisis really, come to the forefront. That, but remember, it had to get to the suburbs before it ever came out into the forefront when other people have been dying for years in there. And I think that, we've been watching ourselves implode, and right now they're up in the game on us.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely a national security issue. And like one of my dreams since I got into recovery and had strong legs under me, knew that, oh, okay, I can heal. Because it's not about always being the gazelle lying in wait of the lion of relapse. We got to become the lion. We just can't become a better gazelle or a faster gazelle to outrun the relapse. We got to become the damn lion. We have to heal the places within us, and that's what recovery is about to me. So one of my dreams has always been to have places where people come in. I don't care if you're coming straight from the street, still addicted, but the whole program is a completely surrounding program. Whatever it is that a person needs, and we go through housing, and we go through the whole detox process, and then we go to the wellness process. But you're right. We've got to get everything around us. People have to learn to start creating their own positive energy where they are, because one affects the collective. So as we change ourselves, that then turns out and changes the collective. And so that's what the recovery community, to me, while we're being so positioned to help this great awakening happen. And Andrea, you're a huge part of this as well, because you're in the recovery community, because recovery equals healing. It doesn't really have anything about addiction to me. It's healing. How do I turn this tragedy into triumph? How do I take this and let it be a gift to humanity? Because I think that's what we're here for. We're vessels to give. And we're vessels to help other people be able to see divinity through us. And that's what the recovery community does. That's our whole point. It's not getting clean and sober. It is about, how do you become the lion? Like clean and sober just helps you be a better gazelle and helps you be a little clearer and faster to see relapse coming. No, man, how do you become the lion? How do we become the lion? We become the lion with voices like yours, Andrea, with voices like yours, Mike, with voices, that are all here with us. So, we're creating a different space for people to be. We said this a few weeks ago in a conversation, Mike. We're making recovery the epidemic. That's what we have to do. We have to make this look more appealing than because in the 90s, when addiction was the big thing. I mean, we looked at all of our musicians, all of our artists, and they were all like the people we admired from my point of view too. Like, I always wanted to be a part of the 27 Club. What kind of dream is that, to be for all of those, I worship people like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix. I wanted to be a part of that club. What kind of dream is that, man? And I was telling people that dream, and nobody was saying, you sure that's a dream you want to be? Like, you sure that's how you want to go? Like, we got to make this not the cool thing to be anymore. We've got to take this away and let people know that wellness is available. Recovery is available. You don't always have to outrun your drug of choice or drugs at all. Like, you can get to a place. You will never, ever in your life hear me say, hey, my name is LC and I'm an addict. Won't happen.
Nope.
Won't happen. I will not prophesy over myself like that and build a box around myself, because I can never grow bigger than that box if I keep that box around me. You'll never hear that. Never.
And I agree with the recovery thing. One of the main things with the whole movement and everything like that, it's recovery is a journey that we're all on.
All of us.
Stigma is that it's an alcoholic or a drug addict thing. No. there's one universal language that I think we all could identify with, and that's pain, right?
Mm.
The universal language. We would like love to be, but right now we're not there yet. So pain is, right. So everything that Andrea's been through, I've been through, you've been through, all our pain is what brought us here in this moment right here, right now. So recovery is a spiritual journey, right? It has nothing to do with the recuperation of drugs and the drink. It has nothing to do with
Right.
like you're saying, I had to look beyond the drugs right now. Like the drugs were limiting me because that's why recovery got boring to me because I made it about the drugs. So when the drugs
Yes.
moved out of my life, my growth would stop. And once my growth would stop, I would relapse because that's what made recovery boring to me. Recovery is
Yes.
a lifestyle, it's a mindset, and it's a way of living, right? We
Yes.
all have grief, we all have pain, we all have depression, we all have anxiety. You can't fix those things. So therefore, I don't believe we're broken as people.
No, we're not.
We need healing because when something's broke, it can never be put whole again. Recovery allows you to become whole again, where your mind and your soul are no longer in bondage and they're working together. So addiction, for anyone that thinks addiction is a drug and drink thing, understand addiction is a mental illness. Right? There's
Yes.
many forms of dependency when it comes to addiction. You got gambling, you got eating, you got sex, you got internet, you got work, you got whatever it is that takes you outside of yourself and makes you make choices of not of a sound mind is an addiction. If you don't think you're addicted to something, every time you think of using this, put it down for 24 hours. And
That's
then
it.
tell me how you feel. You know what I'm
That's
saying? You're
it.
addicted to your phone. So we're
That's
always
it.
to something. It's the most human thing there is in this world. So why don't we take the one thing that makes us all pretty much similar? Because the only thing that makes us the same is the fact that we're different, in my opinion. But
Yes.
something that makes us similar and come together and fight this war together from so many different. They're trying to divide us. If
That's
you
it.
any kind of person in any kind of recovery,
Yeah.
we don't care about your sexual
You
orientation.
better know it.
God you pray to. We don't care about the color of your skin. We don't care about any of that. If you need
Preach.
help and I can help you and you can help me, we're going to rock together. That's how we become one voice. That's how we become the population. And that's how we start saving our kids.
That's
And if
it.
no one is going to stop at the federal level, stop the flood of fentanyl that's coming into the United States, we've got to address the demand.
That's
And so
right.
when we work with the recovery and the addicted community, then we're bringing everyone in to get the same message. And I work
Yes.
with a lot of people, and sometimes they don't like that. But guess what? We're working with the people that are dying from these drugs. So
Absolutely.
you have got to include everyone.
You
And
absolutely do.
there should be no division here.
No, no division. No division. And unfortunately, that seems to be, it just gets bigger and bigger every day. You're Democrat or Republican or you're this or you're that or pick a side. I mean, I'm a transgender man. I'm a transgender human being. And even in that community, I'm like, what are we doing? Like this is not the way that we're human beings. Like we've got to learn to appreciate the divinity in each other, and that is the differences in our small things. I mean, for the most part, we all have a liver, we all bleed the same color, we all got a pancreas. Like there's so much about us that's alike that when do we learn to celebrate our differences and, like you said, come together? And for those things that make people uncomfortable, that's where you have to grow. Uncomfortableness is the greatest gift you can ever receive, because that's when you got to grow. You stay comfortable, that's where you can't go past comfort. You cannot rise above that unless you get uncomfortable.
And we asked this question of our administration recently in a letter that we sent to the president. Where is the respect for human life? We can just discount so many people. My organization, Facing Fentanyl, just had a national day, the first Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. And people said, that's ridiculous. We need a day for this. Well, when you lose hundreds of thousands of people, yeah, you do. And so at first I was wondering if we were making a mistake doing this by having a national day. But you do have to recognize that so many people have been lost, continue to be lost. I shudder to think about the numbers. I don't even want to see them because it will be mind blowing and horrible to know that many more people, as if people are just vanishing. And that's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
To open our eyes, and we need to work together.
Absolutely. That brings me to another question, and it's kind of on the same lines as the last one. But how can we, as a human collective, and we've talked about this a lot, but more specifically, how can we, as a human collective, help raise the awareness about this? So just say, not what we're doing right now, but if just the everyday person going to a job not in the recovery community or whatever. How can we help? How can we become a part of this right where we are?
Well, I think that, first we need to reach out to our kids. If you're listening to this, have the conversation now. Just
Mm,
ask, what do you know about fentanyl? Have you
mm,
ever seen any of this on your phone, um, or anywhere? Do you know someone that's died from it? Start the conversation. It's not that terrible. Open the door.
yeah,
And you can, you keep talking about it later or whatever, but let your kids know first and foremost. And tell someone, anyone out there, whether you have kids or not, tell someone and tell them about the conversations that you've heard. And it can happen to anyone. Doesn't matter how much. There's no socioeconomic boundary for this,
amen.
for fentanyl, and it's horribly devastating. And that's why people like me and the hundreds of thousands of my friends that have lost a child or someone they love are so adamant about going out there and spreading education and spreading awareness, because this is devastating.
Absolutely.
There's no looking back to
Yeah,
this.
So
yeah,
for
yeah.
me, right? So something's not your problem until it becomes your problem. And then when it becomes your problem, you're wondering why nothing was done about the problem. So it'll become part of the solution. How you become part of the solution? Go to the PTA of your child's elementary school and ask them if they're
Mm,
holding anything about fentanyl awareness. If your child's in high school, go to the counselors, go to the teachers. What are you teaching my child about fentanyl? What do you know about fentanyl? If you have nephews and nieces, you don't have children, go to their school. You know what I'm saying? Help the message be spread. You see something on social media, share it on your stories instead of sharing
yes.
the video of the dog and the cat running after each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Start sharing, start flooding it like the way they're flooding it with drugs. Start flooding everything with the awareness and the prevention. And what I really think, we need our musicians, we need our celebrities, we need the artists, we need the people. The newspapers are a little different, right? We'll get to that another day. But we need the people that these kids look up to.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
lot of people in recovery that are celebrities and musicians. We need you guys to step up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like we need you to show the kids to do because you have that platform. You're famous. Like you were saying, you want to be part of the 27 Club. That's
Yep.
because of how cool it looked, right? Well,
Yep.
let's start making it look cool that we're talking about fentanyl awareness and prevention, and start holding some events like you have Summer Jam, have fentanyl awareness jam. You know what I'm
Yes.
like there's so many celebrities out there that are doing great things, but like you said, we can't match the darkness. We
Yep.
have to rise above the darkness. So everyone has a part to play in this. And if you're an addict, listen to me. Like we're really the ones that are going to make the difference, right?
You better
Stop
believe it.
selling the drugs. Stop stealing for the drugs. Stop robbing for the drugs. Stop using the drug. They could bring mountains of this shit into the country,
Yeah.
and it will hold no value. Like Andrea said, the demand is high because we're using it. We stop using it. Listen, I don't think we will ever stop it from ever coming into the country. So let's maybe move past of not being able to stop it and start coming up with solutions of how do we prevent it from getting
Yes.
to our kids since it's already here. It's
Yeah.
here. So it's not going nowhere. So now we have to step up. So get involved in your community. Go to your local congressman, your local assemblyman. Ask them what they're doing. Midterms is coming. Use the one
Yeah.
power they give us that we take for
Yep.
granted, the power
Amen.
to vote, and let's start coming together and consolidating our vote and start voting for the people that are going to come into office and make a change. And listen, if no one's coming, then let's start getting each other into them offices because we do live in a country where you can vote for anybody. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Start getting ourselves in those seats because you know what's going to happen. If we start getting them seats, they will conform because that's their whole life. That's their addiction.
That's right.
That whole life is their addiction. So we
Yep.
did whatever we had to do to keep our addiction going. they will conform if we start getting louder. So let's get louder with that vote as well. Midterms is coming. Do your research. You can't find any research, reach out to myself or Andrea, and we'll get you that research that you need. Use that power of vote, man.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Wonderfully said. You know, it makes me so excited. I was asked to sit on a board here in the county in which I live, and to help guide what needs to happen in recovery. And I'm so grateful that we did this now, because that first board meeting that I'll be sitting on comes on November the 8th. And so I now am completely clear about what we're going to do and the direction that we're going to go. And so I'm grateful that we're having this conversation now. You know, one thing I want to bring up, you know, there is a parent that, and this goes back to what you were both just saying. There's a parent that I know, and I respect her as a friend, and she's got two young children in elementary school. I mean, they're young, and she does everything she can to protect them from all of these different issues. And one of her comments to me about, and again, we're talking about issues that don't matter. Not once have we had a conversation about fentanyl. It's always about transgender and what the schools are doing with that. And one of her comments was, well, I don't want this thing to become a trend. Why are people so afraid to have these hard conversations with their kids? If you don't have this conversation, you know, it's easy to have a conversation about something that you can put hate into children about. It's easy for you to do that when it comes to other people. Have this conversation with them about what they know about fentanyl, because you're going to be surprised when they pipe back to you and say they know something about it, or they've heard something about it, or little Jimmy's brother, you know, had that or died. You're going to be surprised. But take the steps to have those uncomfortable conversations and stop worrying about what you think the big picture's going to be, because you both are right. We can't lock arms and go stand at the borders and stop things from coming in. But what we can start doing today is raising healthy, whole human beings, confident creators, because that's what we are. We're not consumers. Consumerism is crashing down around us. We are creators, divine creators. That's who each one of us are. When we start to cut out some of the deficits in our children, then we can stop some of that addiction. And when we start working on ourselves, no matter how old our children are, you know, my son's 22, I'm still trying to be the best father I can be, because no matter what, you know, as long as he's on the earth, he's always going to be looking to me for what the next example is, whether he admits it or not. And unfortunately, he is in a relationship with a much older woman that does have an opioid issue. And so I've been talking to him about fentanyl, like, listen, don't ever take something, you know, that's given to you. These pills, oh, well, she buys them from this. I'm like, that's what she thinks. You know, that's what she thinks. Don't you get involved in that, man. You know, these things are deadly. They're dangerous. These pills can look identical. And I sent the post, the little blue pill post, you know, to him. And so I'm grateful to have that type of information at my fingertips so that I can make a point. So it's not just dad saying something, but here I can show you this as well. So how can people, so this is how the quickest place that people can get in touch with you, Andrea, is facebook.com/voices for awareness.
They can go to my website at voicesfораwareness.com, or just contact me, Andrea, at voicesfораwareness.com. Or they can go to facingfentanylnow.org. If they're an affected family or want fentanyl facts, they can find that there, and a lot of support for them. There's so many people other organizations that I work with that are so wonderful, and all over the United States, and very supportive for new families.
That and so that's facingfentanylnow.com, right?
.org.
Okay. .org. Oh, see, I gotta edit that.
Or voicesfораwareness.com.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure that gets up there, because you have so much amazing information. And Mike, we know where to find you, most of us, and I'm going to throw that up there too.
So anyone out there, like, let's say we need people to start going to town hall meetings. We need people to start, you know, showing faces and letting them, you know, letting these people in legislation know that we're here. We're going to make a presence. So whatever state you're in, whatever town you're in, he's going to DM me. Tell me what town you're in. I'll do my best to find more people, that are part of Inspire to Inspire and all the other organizations to maybe go with you. But start showing faces. Start letting them know that we're there. Start letting them know that we're going to be coming, because now they're going to have to, what I'm saying? We play their game against them, and nobody could play a better manipulation game than an addict. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, got to use the skills you got.
We could play their game too, but we also have to show them that we're not just going to, come once and stop going, because then it's like, they won't take us serious. So whatever city you're in, whatever state you're in, if you want to start holding events, if you need information, flyers, whatever it is, if you want to help this cause, DM me. You know what I'm saying? The DMs are already blowing up. I will get to them as quickly as I possibly can. But we need your help. This is how you help us. This is how you help. You know what I'm saying? You make a life matter. And how you can make a life matter that's no longer here is by making more awareness and prevention, so the next life isn't lost. So you can make lives matter across the board, whether they're here in the physical or not, because the spirit is always here. So let's continue to lift spirits. Let's continue to lift each other up. And please, please jump on board with us and help us out with this.
Well, I'm down. I'm going to be the first one to take that invitation tonight. Please make sure that you guys send me all this information, because my wheels are turning now. And you're right, for the misinformation that I have just read just within the last couple days about my own state is an absolute lie. It's a false sense of security. We got to do something to get the truth out there. We got to trust that people know how to take the truth. We've all gotten really offensive and seem very delicate. We're not really that delicate. We can think for ourselves. It is time for us to start doing that. We can do for ourselves, and we can do what's necessary to help save that next generation. My hope is that 4 generations from now, they will not be dealing with addictions in this way, that they will not be, in these kind of positions. But that happens with us. That happens with us right now. We have to get on board with each other. So make sure everybody goes facingfentanylnow.org, voicesforawareness.com. Make sure you connect with Andrea Thomas at Facebook, Voices for Awareness. Make sure you DM Mike Fiore and let him get back to you. I know those DMs are already blowing up. I already know you, kid. You put up one post this kid puts up and calls me one of his mentors or something, and all of a sudden my DM's blowing up. Like, man, you got to be Mike's mentor. I'm like, what has happened? What's happened? I got to find out what's happened. This kid's on fire, man. You're walking in your purpose. I'm grateful for you. I'm so grateful that the two of you have gotten yourselves together and that we're all together on this, man. There's so much to be done. I'm with you guys 100%.
Thank you for letting us have a conversation like this, where we're not in 2 minutes spitting facts out, trying to get people's attention and delving a little deeper into it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Me too. Me too.
There's a great quote on how to make society better that I heard, right? Society gets better when the elderly plant trees in which is shade they will never sit under. Start planting some trees for which is shade you will never sit under, but the children of the future will get to sit underneath it and make this world a better place. Because that's how true greatness happens, right? When you inspire one person to inspire another to inspire another.
Amen. Golly, I've enjoyed this so much. I love both of you. Andrea, I've just met you. I'm already a fan. This is my Soul Tribe season. I'm telling you. This is my Soul Tribe season. I'm so grateful. Everybody, I'm knocking stuff over. Everybody do all the stuff. Make sure that you get in touch with Mike, get in touch with Andrea, start doing what you can do on your local front. Make sure that you push all the cool buttons and you're able to get this message out more. Algorithms can be used for bad, algorithms can be used for good. So let's start smashing those like buttons and start getting stuff like this in the algorithm so we can see more of it and save more lives. That's what it's about. I love you guys so much, and guess what? Next week we're going to have Mike back on with Curtis and Danny of the Sober App 2.0. We're going to know what's happening there, when we can start looking forward. Man, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. And so y'all join us back here, same spot at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mike Fiore, Curtis Waslow, Danny. It's the Sober App 2.0. But y'all make sure you do all that you can do. Heal each other, man. We're all in this together. We are all one. There's no doubt about this. We got to stand on the wings of those we've lost and make this world a better place. And yes, it is up to us. Thank you all so much. I love you guys. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.